Hello, this is the 24th edition of Listen Up Illinois, and I'm Ed Hawks, and I have today as my guest Matt and Tom Turino, a father-son duo. As the 24th edition, I started out the show with old-time music. At the 1-year anniversary, I had old-time music, so at the 2-year anniversary, I'm pleased to say I have some more old-time music with Matt and Tom here. So welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ed. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. So Tom, how did you get Matt? You know, a lot of parents try to get their kids to play music. They try to force feed it to them, or they're constantly begging them to practice. How did you get Matt interested in playing music?
Well, when he was a little boy, I told him whatever he did, he shouldn't play music. He decided he wanted to play the fiddle at a really early age. And I played a lot of music around the house, banjo and accordion and guitar. And so he chose the fiddle, which was the perfect match for all the instruments I played and all the styles I played. So I couldn't have been happier. But I think the real trick is we always played together when he was little. I mean, he had lessons for 1 year, and then he's self-taught since then. But even in his first recital, I accompanied him on the guitar. And I didn't sort of send him to his room to practice. I said, let's go play in the living room. And we'd play together right from the start. And we're still playing together. I mean, music is a social thing. And so I think it's easier for kids. And that's, I guess, the idea behind the Suzuki method, too. I mean, if you play with them when they're little, you know, they like it because they're doing something with their parents, with their dad or their mom, and they really enjoy it.
That seems to make sense, rather than saying, well, go practice, but go practice in your room.
You go in your room.
And then when you get good, come out and we'll listen to you.
I wasn't very good at practicing by myself, though, for a long time.
You weren't very good?
I did not practice by myself hardly at all for a long time.
So did you ask your dad, say, hey, let's practice, Dad? Or did he say, grab the fiddle?
Yeah, it's usually just like, do you want to go play some tunes? I was like, sure, sort of thing.
Like, do you want to go fishing? You want to go play some tunes or whatever?
Right.
Yeah.
And then sometime, I don't remember how old you were, but just at the beginning of the farmer's market here in town, I said, let's go play over there. And nowadays, there's lots of musicians in the farmer's market, but back then there weren't any. And we were among the first to play. And Matt was little, and I was playing the accordion, which makes a lot of noise. And Matt was playing the fiddle, and so we would draw audiences because I made noise and he looked cute. And the money
That's still the case.
Touche. So the first week we did it, we did an open case, and all this money flowed into it, and I gave him all the money. And then that week he said, I really want to go play the market next week. And I said, okay, if you do, but if we're going to do this, we're going to have to play during the week. And so that was another thing that we did.
Yeah, a little monetary incentive. So do you remember what the first tune you learned was? Or
The first traditional music tune I learned was, I believe it was 8th of January, which is, I guess, more or less the Battle of New Orleans.
Right.
But kind of a weird accordionized version that he was playing at the time. So, yeah, it's that, and then I learned a version of Train on the Island, which was the second tune I learned.
Really? I didn't know that.
That's
Yeah.
true.
No kidding.
I remember seeing you guys, you had a band then.
Called the Squeeze Tones.
The Squeeze Tones, right? Yeah, you used to play Train on the Island, I remember.
Yeah.
And Matt was about, I don't know, this big.
Yeah.
Can you see this in the
Yeah. So why don't you play another tune then, or a few?
Do you want to do the company?
Sure. Well, that last tune is one of Matt's, and it was called Scavenger's Delight. And this next one is actually an old tune, comes from the Civil War days, called The Cumberland Gap. How many parts are we going to do?
It's up to you.
Let's do 3 parts.
Right.
Right.
All right, here we go.
So
Let's do Quiver next.
sure, or let's do a guitar tune.
Okay.
Let's do your tune for Chrissy.
Oh, okay. That's good. So this next one, we're gonna do a pair of tunes that I wrote in the last year. So the first one is called Chris My Sister, which is my little sister Chrissy, who's about to move back to town, which I'm very excited about. And the other one's called Jane's Birthday, which is for a good friend of mine, Jane McClintock.
Give me a break in the middle because I got to put a capo on.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh shoot! Sorry, that's too fast. All right, 1, 2,
So that tune, for every time we play it, we think of my daughter Chrissy, who was in Brazil for a long time, and so we played it a lot while she was gone. It was kind of like remembering her. This next one, it's called Jane's Birthday. These are dance tunes, so that if you notice, we look at each other and say one more, because there really is no beginning or ending to these. We can play them all night, or we can play them twice, or whatever. We don't really plan it out in advance. So this is a good contra dance tune.
So, Tom, you play a lot of different kinds of music. People that know you in town know that you play Cajun and Zydeco music, and I think you've studied Andean music and
Yep.
Peruvian music.
And South African too.
And you're playing old time music. So, how did you get interested in, or how did you find your way to old time music?
I actually started there. I started playing the guitar in grammar school, just during the folk revival of the late 60s, early 70s. And then I started getting interested in banjo in high school. And we had a jug band, which was just something we did
High school?
In high school. Just something we did in our basement and play. I think we played out once. I don't exactly remember what the response was, but it wasn't overwhelming probably. But it was just something we did. I mean, some music making just for fun, just among friends. We didn't have much else to do. So I started playing 4-string banjo, tuned like the bottom 4 strings of a guitar, so I didn't have to bother learning anything new, and strumming away. And then when I was in college, I met a guy from West Virginia, and he started teaching me to play clawhammer banjo, which is a style that's different than bluegrass, which is 3-finger picking. This is what they call a clawhammer because your hand looks like this when you play, if you're watching. So it's a downstroke, and I hit the 5th string, and so I started playing that in college, and I've sort of been playing it ever since. So we played all the tunes that were played amongst old-time people. I lived upstate New York and played the tunes. Same tunes, a lot of the tunes came off those records, rounder records of the Fuzzy Mountain String Band and the Hollow Rock String Band and New Lost City Ramblers and some of those groups. And so I found that as I traveled around the country, people in the different places, Austin, Texas, Ithaca, New York, played a lot of the same tunes.
Champaign, Illinois.
Champaign, Illinois. Although this is one of the more original places because there's so many Illinois tunes here.
Mhm.
But back then, so I was playing all those tunes, and we have been for a long time. But one of the things that Matt and I really stress, we started doing it a long time ago, is playing tunes, making up tunes. So the last 2 tunes were Matt's, and this next one is mine. It's a tune called Quiver River Shiver, which was dedicated to a contra dance weekend over north of St. Louis?
Southwest of St. Louis.
South.
Is it south? Well, I mean, originally it was, Kimmswick, which was south, but
So this in the Quiver River.
now it's in Quiver River State Park, which is
Exactly.
north of St. Louis now.
Oh,
but
is that right?
the state park's north of St. Louis.
Oh, there you go.
Kimmswick originally was south of St. Louis,
Maybe
but
that's my
yeah,
confusion.
But anyway, this tune is a tune called Quiver River Shiver.
it's a great dance wherever it is. So. It's a great name.
So Quiver River Shiver, this was dedicated to that dance, Kimmswick. And I guess one of the things about this, so we're sort of leaving, when we do these tunes, this tune, for instance, leaving the old-timey format a little bit just in terms of the chord progression. And I studied Indian music and different kinds of music, and so a lot of those things come into these tunes. But it's banjo that I mainly compose on. It's the instrument I feel sort of closest to. So this is one of those tunes.
When you go to write a tune like that, what kind of process goes on?
Well, my best tunes happen at the end of semesters or when all the pressure's off and I have a full day ahead of me. And I get a cup of coffee early in the morning before anybody's up. And I go down into my music room and I start fooling around with the banjo. And in this case, what happened was I discovered a new tuning that I'd never had before, which is an E minor tuning. I'm sure other people knew of it, but I just found it by accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the sound of the tuning so much. And I think, a lot of people think of the banjo as a joke, and for a long time it was a clown's instrument in bluegrass bands and so on and so forth, and or pre-bluegrass, I should say. But the comic often played the banjo, and I think of the banjo as a beautiful instrument. I really love the sound of it, and I just get inspired by the instrument itself. So anyway, I'll find a tuning like that, and I'll say, boy, that's pretty, and then I'll just start fooling around, and I'll find the tunes that I end up really liking and keeping are the ones that sort of make themselves up. You start playing it. So I started with this A part, this part. And then how that B part came up, I don't know. I don't know where it came from, but I just played it, and then they just kind of gives you, the instrument gives me the tunes sometimes. Yeah. And sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes I'll find a nice riff that I really like, and I like it so much I want to build a tune around it. That's a different kind of process, and sometimes that works out, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it feels too forced. The best tunes are the ones that kind of come out all at once. They just sort of flow out of you.
But how do you remember them?
Well, once I find one, I often tape them if I really like it. And here's the thing with that typically I'll make up a tune, say even one that I really like and I play a lot that morning. If I don't tape it, I go off and do something else, and the next day I'll come back, I won't remember it. It'll be gone. So I've learned over time, if I like a tune, I tape it right away, and then I can hear it the next day. And the other thing I do is I listen to the thing the next day on the tape and start fixing it, so that you're in the moment, everything feels and sounds great. Mm-hmm. But when you listen to it after the fact, you find that this part of it's not so good, or this part's a little weak, and then you can fool with it.
So it evolves over time.
Yeah, I do. It's like editing writing in a way. Mm-hmm. So.
And then when you play with somebody else, does that change it at all, or?
Well, yeah, and this tune's a great example of that because of the strum that Matt put on it, which was not how I was thinking of the rhythm at all. And so that once he started strumming like that, I had to change the phrasing of the tune. But I liked it better. I liked what we came up with together.
Yeah.
So what do you want to play now, man?
Let's do a singing song or something.
Okay, good idea.
Either computers or the one I was playing earlier.
Yeah, why don't you play
Calico? So this one is a Steve Earle song. Moved away from original stuff, and we learned it from our friend Randy Cordell years back, and it kind of just popped into my head about 3 months ago, and I kind of started playing again, so kind of come up with a new arrangement.
Should also mention the reason I keep changing banjos like this is because they're in different tunings and different keys. So rather than bore you with sitting up here tuning at length, I brought a couple.
Fortunate to have extra banjos to
put never have too many banjos. That's the motto of most banjo players in this town.
flat downtown one soft day. I ask you now, what's the fella to do when her hair was black and her eyes were blue? And I took her hand and I gave her a twirl. I had lost my heart to a Galway girl. When I woke up, I was all alone. A with a broken heart and a ticket home on one soft day. I ask you now, what's that to do when her hair was black and her eyes were blue? And right then, I've been all over this world, but I ain't never seen nothing like a Galway girl.
Let's do another singing one. Let's do that French one.
Oh, okay.
So, Matt, and we do have a Zydeco band, Big Grove Zydeco, been playing around town for about 4 years, and but we also played Cajun music and stuff that we made up that was sort of in that style, the same way we do with old time music. So we've been playing that kind of music as well, and usually with accordion and fiddle, but there's a Creole tune called
Cochon du lait, and it's I learned it from a fellow named Cedric Watson, who's a Creole fiddler out of Lafayette, Louisiana, and we got this. A friend of ours gave us this like little demo CD that he made of like 3 home recorded tunes, and this was one of them. And it was banjo and fiddle, which is a pretty rare combination for Creole music as far as what I've heard,
But we were delighted.
we like it. So.
So I brought together the 2 things here.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So what do the French words mean? Do you know?
I don't know, actually. I should. I've been told a couple times, and things like that fall out of my head about as quick as, I don't know, I don't want to make up a...
Make something up. Yeah.
Well, here's something pretty different. So every once in a while, I actually write a whole song and not just a tune, and so this is one of those. And here's a good example of a tune that I made up the song, the words, and the guitar part, and then Matt came with a fiddle part that greatly improved what I had done.
That's the advantage of having a father and son duo.
Yeah, it is. It's nice. And we've actually even composed a few songs, although I can't remember what they are now, together. But typically we make them up by ourselves, and then we kind of weigh in on the others to, fix this section here, or here's a part on top of it that'll make it what it is. So this one's called Beefeaters. The chorus refers to Zen Buddhist koan. So it's finger pointing at the moon and other things. So it's kind of like a Buddhist hymn, I guess. Scant resources for one so shy. Can't sleep for now, a new day is dawning. I feel as lovely as a cyclops' eyes. Daffodils, a new day is dawning. I found her locked up in a downtown hotel. Whatever you're selling, she ain't buying. Why she's paralyzed, only her doctor can tell. Hear the sound of one hand clapping, ignore the finger pointing at the moon. I like to hear the old fellow laughing. It'll come around, it'll come around, it'll come around too soon. Places. All that matters is what's on the marquee. Selling scandal, selling rumor. Sell your photograph and set yourself free. Ignore the finger pointing at the moon. I like to hear the old fellow laughing. It'll come around, it'll come around, it'll come around too soon. that matters is what's on the marquee. Selling scandal, selling rumor. Sell your photograph and set yourself free.
So you two have recorded some music onto
have.
a CD. Is that? I believe that's correct. I think I have a copy of it right here.
You do?
Matt and Tom Turino here and far away. So
Open it up for him, Ed. As seen on TV, you can have this. So this
Very nice.
CD is available on CD Baby online, cdbaby.com, or around town. It's at Exile on Main Street, downtown Champaign, and at Priceless Books at downtown Urbana. You can get a copy of this. A number of the tunes we've done this afternoon are on this CD. Chrissy Masissa and
Quiver Rivers on
River
here.
Rivers on there, and this next one is the title track to the CD. This
Here
one's
and Far
called
Away.
"Here and Far Away." That's the name of the record, and this one I actually composed on my bicycle, riding home. I live out on High Cross Road, north of Airport Road, and there's a place on High Cross where if you're riding north and you look to the right, there's this big open field and then trees on the far side. And I guess it was a nice spring day when I was riding through there. And this is one of those tunes that just came into my head while I was riding, so I started singing it to myself so I would remember it. And then I got home, and I knew it was a fiddle tune. And so as soon as I got home, I said, "Matt, learn this." And I sang it to him, and then he started, and he's put plenty of variations in it since. But it's pretty much what it started out to be. So I think of this tune as a real Urbana tune, a tune that kind of is like the landscape out there.
Kind of picture, is that the picture of the landscape out there?
Well, that picture is of a cover crop at my house that my wife Amy put down.
Vetch.
What is it called?
Vetch.
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 And,
Purple flower.
Yeah. Very pretty, but once you plant it, don't go away.
Sort of like this record.
So.
Here and far away.
Far away.
So you all, you play around town, I guess. We'd be talking about this summer, June, July, August. Do you have,
We're playing at the Post. Do you remember the date of that?
I have it on my phone. I should look that up.
but,
We're clearly not savvy business people. But yeah, we are playing at the Post in May, I'm pretty sure at some point.
On a Sunday evening towards the end of May.
toward the end of May, okay.
And Matt also plays with a trio with Miriam Larson and Ben Smith called the Mean Lids. And I recommend you hear them. I heard them last week. They're really, really great and getting greater every time I hear them. And that's not having anything to do with the fact that they're my kids. And
Then you'll be at the farmer's market probably throughout the summer.
Matt will be at the farmer's market, and I will probably be there accompanying him, since that's an old family tradition. And when he's there, he's learned how to clog and fiddle at the same time, which is really kind of fun to watch. It's much more fun to watch than to do, so I don't do it.
It can be pretty fun to do.
Yeah.
It has its moments.
When it's 95 out and
Yeah.
clogging there. So, yeah, we'll be there. And Big Grove has a couple gigs coming up too. June 5th at the Iron Post, so our Zydeco band will be there. So come see us. We'd love to see you. And it looks like we should play another tune.
Yeah, and I'll thank you all for coming. I appreciate you coming out. It's been great to hear you, have a private concert, and
Thanks for having us.
hear your music and hear how you create the music. And
Well, thanks for having us, and thanks for doing this, Ed.
Yeah,
Ed
my
Ed
pleasure.
Hawks is a great promoter of music, and as well as being a musician himself, and so it's great to know you.
appreciate it. Great.
Do you want to do a waltz, or what would you like to do?
Should we finish out? Was this one more?
Yeah,
One more?
prob-
All right. Sure, we can do a waltz.
Yeah, just like you end a dance, right?
Just like
Always nice to know a waltz.
Mayday.
Sure, I need to reach in for a second.
So this next one is a composition of Matt's called the Mayday Waltz, also on the CD. I always wanted to be able to say that as seen on TV.
Buy it now. Phone 1-800-666-2255.
What?
Okay. Because we care, sorry about this. Alright, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
music with your family at home.
Right.
Thank you.